Holy watch your back, Taylor. Watch your back, T.
Watch your ass out there.
In a world saturated with reality TV, few shows have managed to cut through the noise and genuinely grip viewers like Deadliest Catch. From towering icy waves to life or death decisions made on the fly, this show doesn't just entertain. It grabs hold of something deeper. At the center of the storm stands a fleet of unforgettable vessels, each with its own legend. But there's one ship whose story continues to haunt longtime fans, the Cornelia Marie. Over the years, the Cornelia Marie became more than just a fishing vessel. It became a symbol of strength, legacy, heartbreak, and resilience. And yet, for all the love it received, its sudden disappearance from the show raised more questions than answers. Why did it vanish after such a prominent run? Why did its co-captains, especially Josh Harris, fade from view? And what secrets lurk behind the silence? Today, we dive deep into what really happened to the Cornelia Marie and why its story is far from over. The Cornelia Marie wasn't just any boat in the Bering Sea. Its striking yellow and blue hull made it stand out against the harsh backdrop of Alaska's icy waters. But what truly set it apart was its legacy. A legacy that was deeply intertwined with the larger-than-life personality of Captain Phil Harris. A fourth-generation fisherman, Phil was the embodiment of grit, determination, and an unwavering love for his crew and family. Under his leadership, the Cornelia Marie became more than a fishing vessel. It became a symbol of resilience and brotherhood in the unforgiving world of commercial crabbing. Viewers who tuned into Deadliest Catch didn't just watch a boatload of crabs. They watched a family struggle, fight, and thrive together. The bond between Captain Phil and his sons, Josh and Jake Harris, became one of the most compelling storylines on the show. It wasn't always easy, and it certainly wasn't always pretty. They fought hard, both with each other and against the sea. But through the ups and downs, what viewers saw was a father guiding his sons through life's toughest challenges, while trying to teach them the value of hard work, loyalty, and resilience. The Cornelia Marie wasn't just about catching crabs, it was about catching life's most important lessons. In Season 6 of Deadliest Catch, the unthinkable happened. The show had already captured so much of Phil Harris's journey, from his struggles with health issues to the moments of joy he shared with his family. But then came the fateful day when, while offloading the crab catch in port, Phil collapsed. His stroke would forever change the course of the show, the boat, and the Harris family's legacy. What unfolded was nothing short of heartbreaking. Cameras rolled as Phil was rushed to the hospital, fighting for his life. For viewers, the scenes were gut-wrenching. Here was a man, tough as nails on the outside, breaking down in front of millions. The stroke was just the beginning of a tragic turn of events. Phil showed signs of recovery, but a secondary complication, a brain hemorrhage, ended his life. Captain Phil Harris passed away in the hospital, leaving behind a legacy of passion, humor, and resilience. The crabbing world and Deadliest Catch fans worldwide mourned the loss of a true icon. Discovery Channel aired a special tribute to Phil that brought millions to tears. Over 8 million viewers tuned in to watch as his crew and family bid farewell. It wasn't just another episode. It was a poignant, emotional tribute to a man who had become a symbol of strength, both on screen and off. The death of Phil Harris wasn't just the end of an era for Deadliest Catch. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one that would challenge the Cornelia Marie in ways no one could have predicted. After Captain Phil's death, the Cornelia Marie was left adrift, not just in the literal sense, but emotionally and operationally. Phil had built the Cornelia Marie into a powerhouse on the Bering Sea, and without him at the helm, the boat's future was uncertain. His sons, Josh and Jake, were thrust into the roles of captain and leaders in a world they had been trained for, but never expected to face so soon. It was an emotional and professional challenge that tested their mettle. At first, the transition was rocky. Phil's presence had been the glue that held the Cornelia Marie together. With him gone, it wasn't just about crabbing anymore. It was about keeping the family's legacy alive while learning how to navigate the harsh waters without the guiding hand of their father. Josh and Jake weren't just trying to catch crabs, they were trying to hold together a boat, a crew, and a legacy that meant the world to them. But while the journey was filled with difficulties, it was also filled with moments of growth. The brothers found their rhythm. With time, they proved to the world and to themselves that they could continue the work Phil had started. They learned, often the hard way, that being a captain wasn't just about knowing how to fish. It was about leading a team, making tough decisions, and honoring the values their father had instilled in them. The Cornelia Marie's story didn't end with Phil Harris's death. In fact, it took on a new dimension. The boat continued to be a fan favorite on Deadliest Catch, with Josh and Jake carrying on their father's legacy in the Bering Sea. The crew, once bound together by the force of Phil's personality, grew into a family in their own right. The Cornelia Marie, once a symbol of Phil's life and leadership, became a symbol of the resilience of those he left behind. As the show evolved, so did the story of the Cornelia Marie. With new captains, new challenges, and new crew members, the boat and its legacy took on new life. But the heart of the Cornelia Marie, the spirit of hard work, loyalty, and the importance of family, remained the same. The boat had always been more than a piece of equipment. It was a living, breathing part of the Harris family. And as the Cornelia Marie sailed on, it carried not just the legacy of a legendary captain, but also the unbreakable bond between a father and his sons, a bond that would continue to inspire fans for years to come. After the tragic death of Captain Phil Harris, the future of the Cornelia Marie seemed uncertain. With their father gone, his sons, Josh and Jake, inherited not only the boat, but the weight of continuing the Harris legacy. However, this transition wasn't as smooth as anyone would have hoped. Both brothers were young, grieving, and dealing with their own struggles. Josh stepping up to the plate as the public face of the Cornelia Marie, and Jake battling severe personal demons. Jake, in particular, faced immense challenges. Addiction and legal issues were major obstacles that he couldn't overcome, leading him to leave the show entirely. Meanwhile, Josh, despite being emotionally shattered, was determined to keep the boat alive and honor his father's memory. He took on a more visible leadership role, making it clear that the Cornelia Marie wouldn't just fade into the background. In Season 10, Josh found an experienced partner in Casey McManus, a seasoned captain who had worked on other boats in the fleet. With Casey's expertise, Josh returned to the helm of the Cornelia Marie, and the boat made its return to the spotlight. Fans were thrilled to see the iconic vessel back in action, and for a while, things seemed promising. The Cornelia Marie was back where it belonged, with the Harris family continuing its legacy. But despite the external optimism, there were deeper issues at play, issues that would soon begin to unravel. After its triumphant return in Season 10, The Cornelia Marie seemed poised for a new chapter. But in season 14, something strange happened. The boat just disappeared. There was no farewell episode, no explanation. Fans were left scratching their heads. Where had the Cornelia Marie gone? Where were Josh and Casey? Why wasn't it part of the new season? The absence of the Cornelia Marie sparked widespread confusion and curiosity among fans. What happened to the iconic boat that had once been the heart of Deadliest Catch? While rumors circulated, there was no clear answer. The boat did make a brief appearance in season 14, which gave fans some reassurance, but that brief return was just as fleeting. By the time season 19 aired, the Cornelia Marie was nowhere to be seen. Fans were starting to wonder if they would ever see the boat again. As the seasons passed, it became apparent that the Cornelia Marie's absence wasn't just a temporary break. By season 20, the boat remained conspicuously missing from the show, and its absence was felt by longtime fans who had followed its journey for over a decade. What had happened to the legendary crabbing vessel? What had caused its sudden and unexplained disappearance? The truth behind the Cornelia Marie's sudden absence came to light through a series of revelations that unfolded in the years following the boat's disappearance from Deadliest Catch. It wasn't until rumors began circulating online that fans began to piece together the puzzle. In a shocking report, it was revealed that Josh Harris had been convicted in 1999 of a minor. He had served 9 months in prison, taken a psychosexual evaluation, and eventually pleaded to a lesser charge. This long-hidden part of Josh's past had remained under wraps for years, and it wasn't until Discovery Channel allegedly became aware of it that the situation took a dark turn. Once the network was informed about Josh's conviction, it seems the network made the decision to sever ties with him, and by extension, with the entire Cornelia Marie operation. The fallout was swift and silent. No formal announcement was made, but the boat was quietly written out of the show. Later, Captain Casey McManus confirmed via social media that the Cornelia Marie's contract was not renewed. While it remains unclear whether this decision came solely from Discovery or if it was a mutual agreement between the network and the boat's crew, the end result was clear. The Cornelia Marie had become radioactive in the eyes of the public. While it's impossible to know the full details of what transpired behind the scenes, it was evident that the Cornelia Marie's disappearance from Deadliest Catch was the result of a much larger issue. The boat, once the shining star of the fleet, was now tangled in legal and ethical complications. Discovery Channel, a network that had always prided itself on presenting real, gritty content, had to make a difficult decision about its future. The fallout from the legal issues and the resulting severing of ties with Discovery had a lasting impact on Josh, Jake, and the Cornelia Marie's legacy. Fans who had once rooted for the Harris family found themselves caught in a moral dilemma. The boat that had once been the heart of Deadliest Catch was now tainted by controversy, leaving many fans feeling conflicted. For Josh, the weight of this revelation was undeniable. He had not only lost his father, but was now confronted with the fallout from his past actions. It's unclear where his future in the crabbing world lies, but for now, the Cornelia Marie's story seems to have come to an untimely end. With the boat no longer part of the Deadliest Catch lineup, the Harris family's chapter in the show's history has closed, leaving behind a legacy that's now forever marked by a series of unfortunate events. What remains, though, is the powerful reminder of the Cornelia Marie's significance both as a fishing vessel and as a symbol of family, struggle, and survival. Though the boat may no longer appear on Deadliest Catch, the impact of its story will continue to resonate with fans, even if the tides have shifted. After the disappearance of the Cornelia Marie from Deadliest Catch, the fallout wasn't just felt by the Harris family, it was felt deeply by the crew, and, perhaps even more intensely, by the fans. Josh Harris, once the face of the Cornelia Marie, essentially vanished from the public eye. His social media posts became infrequent and cryptic. Interviews stopped, and no official statements were made to explain the silence. It was as if the man who had once opened up his life to millions was now hiding away from the world. For fans who had followed Josh's journey, this sudden withdrawal felt like a betrayal. Many had watched him struggle to live up to his father's legacy and had rooted for him to succeed. But with the legal issues now surfacing, the sympathy turned to confusion, and for some, outright outrage. While Josh disappeared from the public sphere, Captain Casey McManus took a different route. He stepped out of the spotlight entirely, pivoting to tugboat operations far removed from the world of reality TV. His Instagram, once filled with the drama of Deadliest Catch, became a quiet collection of serene images from life at sea, focusing on the work, the people, and the beauty of the ocean, minus the TV cameras. For many fans, Casey's transition was seen as a way to escape the chaos and continue a seafaring life without the drama and scrutiny that television fame brings. He seemed to find peace away from the limelight, but the absence of the Cornelia Marie was still an open wound for the fans who had invested years of emotional energy into the boat and its crew. The fans felt the sting of this disappearance acutely. For many, the Harris family was more than just a group of fishermen. They were like family. Josh's struggle to step into his father's shoes, the emotional weight of continuing Captain Phil's legacy, and the raw vulnerability he showed on camera had created a unique bond with the audience. When the legal revelations hit, that connection was shattered. Fans no longer knew how to reconcile the man they had rooted for with the man whose past was suddenly exposed in such a public and uncomfortable way. The trust between Josh and the viewers was broken, and many fans found it hard to support him after the truth came out. There was a sense of betrayal, a feeling that the story they had been invested in for so long had been tainted by something dark that they couldn't ignore. Discovery Channel, on the other hand, remained eerily silent throughout the entire ordeal. There was no formal announcement explaining the Cornelia Marie's exit from the show or addressing Josh's legal troubles. This silence was, in itself, a statement. In the world of television, networks often part ways quietly with talent when legal or reputational issues arise. By keeping their distance and not addressing the situation directly, Discovery likely hoped to minimize any backlash or further public interest in the scandal. The network, by all appearances, wanted to move on cleanly and quickly, avoiding reigniting controversy that could hurt the show's reputation or its viewership. And to some degree, they succeeded. New boats, new captains, and new storylines emerged to fill the void left by the Cornelia Marie. But that absence, while not always acknowledged on screen, still lingers. For fans who had followed the Harris family for years, the Cornelia Marie's departure felt like a missing chapter in the book of Deadliest Catch. It wasn't just a casting change or a shift in the fleet, it was a loss of something much deeper. The boat wasn't just another ship in the Bering Sea. It was the emotional heart of the show, representing the struggles, the victories, and the tragedies of the Harris family. Without it, the show lacked a key emotional anchor. The Cornelia Marie had, for so long, been central to the show's narrative. From Captain Phil's tough love leadership to the way Josh tried to balance the weight of his father's legacy, the boat was more than just a vessel. It was the foundation of many of the show's most poignant moments. Fans had seen the highs and lows of the crew's journey, from triumphant catches to personal heartaches, and they had come to care deeply about what happened to the Cornelia Marie. Its struggles mirrored those of the fans, and its victories felt earned. When tragedy struck, as it often did, viewers were right there with the crew, feeling the loss. So when the Cornelia Marie disappeared without a word, it left a hole in the show that was hard to fill. Sure, Deadliest Catch went on with new boats and new captains, but something was undeniably missing. The crew, the boat, and the storylines that had defined the show for years were gone, leaving behind a sense of unfinished business. For longtime viewers, the loss of the Cornelia Marie wasn't just a shift in the show's cast, it was the end of an era. Cast? The emotional connection that had been built over the years couldn't simply be replaced with new boats and new faces. The Cornelia Marie, for better or worse, had been a symbol of everything Deadliest Catch had stood for. And with its exit, the show and its fans were left to navigate a much quieter, less emotionally charged future. Whether you're a longtime fan of Deadliest Catch or someone just now diving into the legacy of the Cornelia Marie, it's clear that this story is as complex as the seas it sailed. From the highs of Captain Phil's glory days to the dark revelations that followed, the saga of the Cornelia Marie is a reminder that real life doesn't always tie things up neatly. It's raw, it's real, and sometimes it's tragic. What are your thoughts on the Cornelia Marie's disappearance? Should it return to Deadliest Catch? Can the boat ever reclaim its legacy? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the show's most iconic vessels, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more long-form explorations, untold stories, and behind-the-scenes realities of your favorite shows. Until next time, stay safe out there.